Welcome to VCLS, to this VCLS webinar. I'm Leonid Lamnevich. It's my pleasure to host and moderate this webinar for initiation of clinical trials in the United States.
So let's begin with the next slide and talk about for a moment that the pre-IND meeting, which we'll be discussing in depth today, is really a two-part process. One is getting ready, and then the actual pre-IND meeting and what comes next. Now, beyond the project details, I want to emphasize that this first pre-IND meeting, and you only get one, is in fact the scope of plans from your first impression being established with FDA. It's kind of like you're speed dating with FDA, and they are looking at you and saying, as a sponsor, are you transparent in what you're describing? Do you seem naive to FDA? Do you offer constructive negotiations? And importantly, and Mark's going to speak to this, are you a good listener?
You should not submit your meeting request until you have the briefing document at least 80 to 90% or more complete, because things change, and you don't want to wait until you send the meeting request to start on the briefing document. You want to have it be almost ready. I've had a couple of instances in the past where FDA did something different with the meeting date, and then they asked for the briefing book 2 weeks earlier than we would have normally planned to send it. So you got to be kind of prepared for that outcome. That's, again, not an often occurrence, but it does happen from time to time. So it's good to be very prepared and very on top of preparation of your briefing document in case that does happen.
And if you're going for that robust synopsis, heads up, make sure you have a stats section, because one of the things that FDA criticizes is they'll see endpoints and they'll see inclusion and exclusion in your robust synopsis, but they have no idea of your statistical approach. So if you're trying for a synopsis, my recommendation is you don't leave out a stats section.
So ultimately, the process consists of authoring, reviewing, usually 2 cycles, compile your IND, publish it, do a final QC, both hyperlinks within the document as well as the data itself that's presented there, whether it's non-clinical or clinical, even CMC, you'll want reviewed by QA.